The first sound wasn't the knock. It was the scrape of boots across her porch boards, dragging against the frozen wood. She froze at her table, spoon halfway to her mouth, listening. Then the knock came, sharp, quick, as if the hand that hit the door had no patience to wait. She didn't move. The knock came again, harder this time. Then the door creaked open before she had the chance to rise. The man stepped in like he belonged there. He carried the cold with him, his coat damp from frost. His face looked pale against the fireless room. "Don't you have heat in here?" he asked, voice rough, already moving toward the black stove. "You can't just walk in," she said. "Cold's worse than manners." He crouched by the stove, struck a match, and fed kindling until sparks caught. "You let your fire die. I didn't ask you to light it." "You're welcome." He stood, dusted ash from his hands, and turned to her. His eyes stayed steady, like he'd been waiting to look at her. "Your name's Ruth." Her spoon clattered against the bowl. "Who told you that?" He smiled faintly. "Nobody had to. I know it. You should leave." "Can't. Not yet." "You should leave anyway." "I came too far." He lowered himself into the chair across from her without asking. "You don't want me gone. Not before I say what I came to say." She gripped the table edge. "Say it fast." He leaned forward, elbows on the wood. "I named my baby after you." The words slipped into the air and sat heavy. She felt them more than heard them. "What? You heard me. I don't even know you." "You don't have to. She's got your name." Her chest tightened. "Why would you do that?" "Because names carry weight. Yours did." "You don't know me." "Don't I?" His gaze didn't move, didn't blink. Silence filled the space between them. The stove crackled, throwing orange light against his coat. Finally, she said, "What's her name?" He almost laughed. "Ruth." "You're sick." "Maybe." "You think this is some kind of trick." "No trick, just the truth." She pushed back from the table, stood with her arms crossed. "Get out." He stayed seated. "That fire's yours now. You were shivering when I came in. I fixed it." "I don't want your fire." "Yes, you do." She felt the heat creeping through the room, but it didn't ease her. "You're trespassing." "I'll go when I'm ready." "You'll go now." "Or what?" She glared at him. "Or I'll fetch the sheriff." "The sheriff doesn't scare me." "He should." "You think he scares you?" Her throat tightened. "Why are you here?" "I told you. That's no reason." "It's the only one that matters." She shook her head. "You're lying." "Am I?" "Yes." He leaned back in the chair, watching her. "You can tell yourself that. Won't change what's true." Her hands trembled, but she wouldn't let him see fear. "You're a fool." "Could be. Still, she carries your name." "I don't want it." "Not yours to want." "Then why tell me?" "Because you needed to hear it." Her voice cracked, though she tried to keep it sharp. "Needed?" "Yes. Don't tell me what I need." "You've been living in silence too long. Even your stove went cold." Her jaw tightened. "You don't know me." "I know enough." She stared at him, at the shadow flickering across his cheek in the firelight. "Say her mother's name." His eyes hardened. "No." "Why not?" "Because it doesn't matter." "It matters to me." "Not to her." She stepped closer, leaning over the table. "Tell me." He didn't flinch. "You wouldn't like it." "Try me." It was Mary. Her stomach dropped. The name tasted like dirt in her mouth. He saw it in her face. "You knew her." Her hands gripped the table edge until her knuckles burned. "Get out." "I'm not finished." "You're finished." He rose slowly, standing taller than she'd expected. His shadow stretched across the room, swallowing the stove's glow. "You think you can push me out?" he said. "Yes." "You're wrong." She raised her chin. "Try me." For a long moment, neither spoke. The fire popped, smoke curling faintly. Finally, he said, "I'll leave." "Now?" "Yes." "But I'll come back." "You won't." "I will. And when I do, you'll want to listen." "I won't listen." "You will." He moved to the door, hand on the frame. The cold spilled in around him. He looked back once. "She's yours. Whether you like it or not," he said. "She's not." "She is." Then he stepped out, the door groaning shut behind him. The room sank into silence, save for the stove's weak hiss. She stood there, breath tight, her body shaking not from the cold, but from the words he'd left behind. Her name, her baby. his voice still pressed against her ears. She sat back down, staring at the bowl she'd left untouched, the spoon lying in its broth. The firelight stretched shadows long across the walls, and for the first time she wished the stove had stayed dark. She didn't move for a long time after he left. The fire burned steady in the stove, soft light licking across the floorboards like it knew what had been said. She sat still, a bowl of cold broth in front of her, but her mouth stayed closed. Her name, his baby. She didn't know how he knew it. She didn't know if he was lying. When she finally stood, her legs ached. She didn't clean the table. She didn't wipe the door frame where his hand had rested. She just locked the door and turned the chair he'd used back under the table, as if that would erase something. She barely slept that night. The stove hissed until dawn. When morning came, she opened her eyes, and he was back. He stood on the porch again. Same coat, same eyes. This time he knocked once, then waited. She didn't open it. "I won't stay long," he called through the door. "You don't have to talk." She opened it anyway. He stepped in slowly, keeping his hands visible. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I know. You said you were done. I said I'd be back." She locked the door behind him. "Then say what you came to say." He didn't sit this time. "I named her Ruth." "You said that already." "You didn't believe me." "I still don't." He took a folded paper from his coat pocket and set it on the table. She didn't touch it. "What is it?" "Birth slip." The midwife scratched it down. She stared at it. "I'm not reading that." "Doesn't matter. You already heard the name." She clenched her jaw. "You said her mother was Mary." "I did." "What did Mary tell you about me?" "Nothing." "You're saying she never spoke of me?" "Not once." "Then why?" "Because she was dying, and I needed a name. You had yours." He stared at her. "I didn't want her to have mine." "Why not?" He didn't answer. "Say it," she pressed. He shook his head. "I didn't come to talk about me. You don't get to come in here with half a story and leave the rest burning. I didn't come for sympathy." "You didn't come for the truth either." His voice dropped. "I came to place something heavy where it belongs." "You think this belongs to me?" "I do." She stepped closer. "You bring a name and think it makes something mine? That's not how it works." He shrugged. "Worked for me." She wanted to throw the paper at his chest. Instead, she grabbed it and opened it. The handwriting was messy, but clear. Ruth May. Date. Weight. Mother. Mary. Father. Unlisted. Her stomach turned. Unlisted? I didn't sign it. You're the father, aren't you? I am. And you didn't write your name? No. Why not? She wouldn't have wanted it. You didn't even ask? She couldn't answer by then. The words sat between them like iron. She folded the paper slowly. Where is the baby now? Safe. Where? Not here. That's not an answer. It's the one you get. She laughed bitterly. So I'm just supposed to hold her name and nothing else? He nodded. That's the weight. What makes you think I'll carry it? He looked down at his hands. Because you already are. I'm not. You didn't sleep last night. Don't pretend you know me. I don't have to. The fire was still going this morning. She stared at him, the warmth of the stove pressing against her spine. What do you want from me? Nothing. Then why come again? To see if you'd ask that. She rubbed her forehead. Are you sick? Maybe. Mad. I wouldn't say no. You think this is kindness, naming a child after a stranger? You're not a stranger. We've never met. We have now. That doesn't make this right. He stepped toward the stove and held out his hands to the heat. Mary died slowly. She begged quietly. She was younger than me, Ruth said. She looked like you when she cried. Her face cracked. Stop. You asked. I didn't ask for that. He turned to face her again. You think I came to haunt you? You are. I came to remember her somewhere so she wouldn't be forgotten. She blinked hard. Then why not bury her near here? She didn't want the ground near you. The slap rang before she knew she'd raised her hand. He didn't flinch. She stepped back, chest heaving. Get out. I didn't lie to you. You think that matters. I thought it might. He walked toward the door. She didn't stop him. Before he opened it, he turned. She had your strength. That's why I named her Ruth. Strength won't be enough for her. No, but it's a start." He left. The door closed. The house fell quiet again. She looked down at the paper in her hand. Her name stared back up. Ruth May. The stove stayed lit long after he left. She hadn't fed it. I hadn't touched it, but the fire crackled, steady and hot. Smoke curled up the flue like breath. She sat at the table, his chair across from her, still crooked, not pushed in. The folded birth slip lay between them, her name scratched in ink on the child's line. She hadn't looked at it again, but she hadn't thrown it away either. The silence felt heavier than before. She muttered, "Why her?" The chair didn't answer. She turned her head slightly, watching the room as if it might give her something new, but it didn't. Same walls, same cracked clock, same tin plate on the shelf where Mary once left biscuits she never ate. "Liar," she said to the stove. The fire hissed. She stood and walked to the sink. Run cold water, washed her hands though they weren't dirty. Then she dried them and turned to the chair again. "You're not coming back." She waited. Nothing moved. She sat down slowly, leaned her elbows on the table, rested her chin on her hand. "He said she had my name." The air didn't stir. "I don't want it on her." The stove popped once, a sharp crack like bone. She stood again, restless, opened the back door. The cold wind slapped her in the face. She stepped out barefoot. The porch boards groaned under her weight. There were no tracks in the dirt, nothing leading away, no sign of a man. No horse, no boot print, as if he'd never come at all. She turned back inside, locked the door, paced the room 3 times, stopped, sat, stared at the chair. Then she whispered, "Was he even real?" The room tilted slightly. She pressed her palms flat against the table. Her breath was fast, shallow. She closed her eyes. Then the knock came again. She flinched, waited. Nothing followed, no second knock, no voice. She stood, walked to the door, pressed her ear to it. Silence. She opened it. Nothing. The porch was empty. The sky is gray. No sun. She stepped out, looked both ways. Nothing moved. She stepped back in, shut the door, turned the lock. Her voice shook now. "I'm not crazy." The chair across from hers hadn't moved, but it felt full. She walked around it slowly. I looked at the seat. I looked at the floor beneath it. She dropped to her knees and checked under the table. Nothing there. Still. Her heart pounded. She stood, walked to the window, stared out at the hills. Then she whispered, "Why her?" She heard Mary's voice in her memory, soft and low. "He said she looked like me." She closed her eyes. "No. He said she cried like me." Then quieter. "That's worse." She sat back down, gripping the sides of her chair. "Why did you bring her into this?" she said aloud. "She didn't ask for my name. She didn't choose it. She didn't even know it. But now she's got it." She reached for the paper again, unfolded it, read the name. Ruth May. Not hers. But somehow it was. She stared until the letters blurred. Then she whispered, "What am I supposed to do with this?" The stove flickered. She got up and opened the drawer by the wall, dug through old string, matchboxes, folded linen, pulled out a photograph, yellowed and curled at the edge. Mary, young, straight-backed, eyes narrow like her father's. They hadn't spoken in 4 years, not since the letter, the one Ruth never answered. She set the photo beside the paper. I watched the two sit together like they belonged. "I didn't answer because I didn't forgive you," she whispered. "I didn't forgive you because I couldn't forget what you took. And now I've got your child's name in my house." Her fingers hovered over the birth slip. She didn't touch it. The knock came again. This time it was softer. She didn't move. Then it came again. Still soft. She rose slowly. I walked to the door. I opened it. Still no one. But this time, something was on the porch. A small cloth bundle, tight and square. She bent, picked it up. It was warm. She opened it. Inside, a jar of milk, a small linen rag, a folded note. The note read only, "She's safe." No name, no signature, just that. She looked out toward the trees. Still nothing. She stepped back in, shut the door, locked it. She held the jar for a long moment, then set it beside the stove. The fire hissed. She folded the note and slid it beneath the birth slip. Then she pushed his chair in, Finally, the jar of milk sat untouched by the stove. The note stayed folded beneath the slip of birth. Ruth put on her coat. She didn't take the papers. She didn't take the photo. She didn't even put out the fire. She just walked into the cold and made her way toward the road where the sheriff still kept his badge behind a locked drawer. The station door stuck like it always had. She had to put her weight into it. Inside, the room smelled of stale coffee and floor dust. He was behind the desk, boots on the radiator, hat low over his eyes. "You still let folks walk in without knocking?" she asked. He tipped the hat back. "You still walk like someone's behind you." "I need to talk." He sighed, swung his feet off the heat. "That's usually how this starts." She didn't sit. He motioned to the chair. "Go ahead." "I said I'm fine standing." He raised his brows. "You're the one who came all the way here." She looked at the old clock ticking over his shoulder. "Had a man show up at my door. Twice." "Lucky girl." "He lit my stove without asking. Told me he named a baby after me." The sheriff grinned. "Sounds romantic." She didn't smile. He leaned forward. "You say he forced his way in. He didn't knock the second time. Did he threaten you?" "No." "Touch you?" "No." "Then what's he guilty of? Warming your kitchen and giving out compliments. He's hiding something." "So are most men." She took a breath. "I think the child's real." "Then send him a thank you note. Folks don't get honored like that every day." She stepped closer. "He left a note, a jar of milk, outside my door." He blinked. "You drink it?" "No." "Good. Might have been a goat." She didn't laugh. "He said the mother was Mary." His smile faded. "I thought you'd remember her." "I remember Mary." "Then you know why this matters." He stood slowly. I walked to the window. "Mary's been gone for years. She died birthing that child." He looked out over the street. "You got proof of that?" "I have her name on a paper." "Paper doesn't make it true." "You're calling me a liar?" "I'm calling you emotional." She folded her arms. "That's a mistake. You always had a hard time letting go, Ruth. This isn't about grief." He turned. "Everything with you is." She stepped closer. He knew things he shouldn't. Maybe Mary told him. She was dying. She could have told him before. She didn't. "How do you know?" "Because she would have written to me." He looked at her. "Maybe she did." She said nothing. "You burn it?" "I never got one." "Then maybe she didn't want you to." Her jaw clenched. "You think I deserve that?" "I think you're not the only one she left behind." They stared at each other. She said, "Are you going to find him or not?" "Describe him." "Tall, pale. Looks like sleep don't going to sleep much." "Name?" "He didn't give one." "Then we got a tall stranger with no name who leaves warm milk and burns firewood for free. You think I'm making this up. I think you're rattled. He's dangerous." "Why?" "Because he speaks like he knows what you've done." The sheriff moved back to his desk, sat slowly, picked up a pencil. "What have you done?" he asked. She didn't answer. "You said he spoke your name." "Yes." "Maybe he heard it around town." "I don't keep company." "You've got neighbors." "They don't talk to me either." "That's not new." She looked down. "He said the baby's name is Ruth May." The sheriff dropped the pencil. "I want you to find him," she said. "I'll ask around. Today. I'll do it when I can." "I don't feel safe." "You're always saying that." She looked him in the eye. "You owe me more than this." "I don't owe you a thing. You stood on my porch the night Mary left, and you slammed the door, because you let her go." He stood again. "Don't bring up what you don't want answered. You never looked for her. She didn't want to be found. You knew she was running, and you let her." She stepped forward. "That child carries my name. Maybe that's your penance. That's not justice. That's blood." Her voice dropped. "So you believe me?" "I believe you believe it. You believe the baby's real. I believe you'll never let her go unless she is." They stared again. The room felt too warm. The sheriff reached into his drawer, pulled out a small notepad, scribbled something. Then he tore off the page and handed it over. "Carter at the feed store saw someone pass through yesterday," he said. "Didn't buy anything. Just stood outside. Pale, like you said." "Where'd he go?" "Didn't say." She took the paper. Read the name. "Carter talks too much. Better than silence." She turned for the door. He said, "Ruth." She paused. If you see him again, don't open the door." She looked back. "Are you saying he's a threat now?" "I'm saying I don't know what he is. I think he wants something from me." "Then don't give it." She stepped out. The cold slapped her cheeks. The wind tugged at her coat. She didn't look back. Not yet. The porch was still when she returned. No wind, no sound, just frost gripping the corners of the boards. The quilt was folded by the door. She saw it before she even stepped onto the top step. Small, clean, the color of dried corn husk and mud, tied with twine, set neat like a gift. She didn't touch it. Just stared. Then she stepped around it, opened her door, closed it behind her, stood inside, breathing slow. The milk jar was gone. She blinked, then opened the door again. Still there, the quilt, but not the jar. She crouched slowly, picked the bundle up, carried it inside, set it on the table, untied the twine, unfolded it. The pattern was careful. Old fabric, cut straight. Each stitch is neat, small. Someone had taken time. At the bottom corner, tiny thread in dark red. RM. She touched it. The stitches were dry, tight. Her own initials. She hadn't sewn them. She sat down across from it, staring. She whispered, "You think this is funny?" The quilt didn't answer. She left it there and crossed to the window, watched the trees for movement, the trail, the sky. Nothing. She turned toward the stove. Fire is still alive. Her hands curled. Then she heard a knock. Not the front, but the side door. She flinched, waited. It came again. She stepped slowly, heart ticking louder than her boots. She cracked the door. It wasn't him. It was Ellen from the next plot over, shawl tight around her shoulders, chin raised. "Thought I'd see if you needed eggs," Ellen said. "I don't." Ellen glanced past her into the house. "Smells like you've got heat again. Why are you really here?" "I was passing." "No one passes here." Ellen smiled thin. "Then maybe I will come to talk." Ruth didn't move. Ellen tilted her head. "A man came by. Saw him from my kitchen window." "When?" "Yesterday. And this morning. Same coat. Looked lost." "You speak to him?" "No." "Then why mention it?" Ellen shifted. "You looked spooked last week." "I thought maybe it was connected." "It wasn't." "You sure?" "I don't need your guessing." Ellen's eyes narrowed. "He left something behind." "Why?" "I saw him carrying cloth." "What kind?" "Couldn't say." "Don't lie." "I'm not." Ruth opened the door wider. "You want to come in?" Ellen hesitated. "No." "You sure?" "Might help you remember better." "I don't need to come in." "Have you ever seen this quilt before?" Ellen blinked. "Quilt." Ruth stepped aside, pointed to the table. Ellen looked past her, took in the color, the fabric, the corner stitching. "That's yours?" she asked. "Does it look like mine?" "It looks like your mother's hand." "It's not." "Maybe someone saved scraps." "Who would do that?" Ellen shrugged. "Maybe someone who owed her." "Who'd owe her?" "You'd know better than me." Ruth stepped out, shut the door behind her. "Tell me what you know." Ellen didn't move. "I already did." "No. You came here with more than eggs." Ellen looked at the woods behind the house. "A man like that doesn't wander by accident." "Then how'd he find me?" "You're not hard to find." "That's not an answer." Ellen frowned. "You act like this land ain't soaked with memory." "Maybe I want it dry." "It never will be." They stood quiet. Ruth said, "He named the child after me." Ellen looked away. "You heard me." Ellen swallowed. "Did he say why?" "No." "Maybe he didn't need to." Ruth's voice cracked. "Do you know who he is?" "No." "Do you know who the baby is?" "No." "You're lying." "I'm tired." "You think this is some kind of joke?" "No." "You think I deserve this?" "I didn't say that." "But you believe it." Ellen didn't speak. Ruth stepped forward. I need to know." "Then ask the one who brought it." "He won't answer." "Then maybe he already did." Ruth stared hard. Ellen stepped back. "You've been waiting for a punishment. Maybe this is it." "For what?" Ellen didn't say. She turned, walked back toward the trees, shawl trailing in the breeze. She didn't look back. Ruth stood still, then turned and went back inside. She shut the door, locked it, sat at the table again. The quilt stared up at her. She traced the initials. She whispered, "Why would you do this to me?" The fire popped. She folded the quilt slowly, set it in the chair he once used, left it there. The smoke came before the screams, thick, bitter. It curled through the trees and settled over her porch like it knew its way. She smelled it before she saw it. She stepped outside. The barn was burning. The roof had already caved. Orange light punched up into the gray sky. Embers spit through the air like sparks from a curse. She ran. Didn't grab a coat. Didn't grab water. Just ran. By the time she reached the clearing, the fire had swallowed half the structure. The quilt she'd folded into the chair was inside. She knew it. Neighbors gathered in a wide circle. Ellen stood off to the left, the shawl pulled tight. Nobody moved to stop it. Ruth pushed through the heat. Who called it in? No one answered. She turned toward the crowd. Who saw it first? Ellen looked away. A man from the mill cleared his throat. It was already lit when I came by. You try to put it out? Didn't seem safe. Another voice. What did you leave in there? She looked toward the flames. A quilt. That's all? Yes. Whose was it? It was mine. The sheriff's truck crunched onto the dirt. He stepped out slow, hat low, eyes tracking the barn. He didn't ask anything right away, just stood with his hands on his hips and watched it burn. Then he said, You light it yourself? No. Sure. I said no. He turned toward the crowd. Anybody see Ruth near the barn? A few heads tilted. No voices rose. He looked back at her. You leave the stove going. I don't cook in the barn. He walked closer. You've been having visitors lately. I didn't light it. You sure nobody's trying to get your attention? She didn't answer. Maybe somebody doesn't like what you're holding. I'm not holding anything. You sure? I'm tired of being asked that. I'm tired of asking. She stepped closer. You think I set this? I think folks don't set fires without cause. I didn't do this. He pointed at the flames. That barn didn't burn itself. You think I'm crazy enough to burn my own land? You're the only one who's been jumpy this week. She turned to the crowd. You all think this was me? A woman near the edge muttered, Fires follow guilt. Ruth pointed. You say that louder. The woman didn't. The sheriff raised a hand. All right. Smoke clung to his coat. His eyes were sharp now. You said the quilt was inside. Yes. You told me it had your initials. It did. Now it's ash. She blinked. Are you saying that's convenient? I'm saying you had something you didn't want to see. That's not true. You brought it to me. Said it was proof. Now it's gone. I didn't hide anything. Just lost it? You think I planned this? I think it's easier to burn something than live with it. She took a step back. You don't want the truth. I want calm. You want quiet. I want to stop things from spreading. She glanced at the barn. Too late. The roof caved in fully, wood groaning as it collapsed inward. A gust of sparks shot toward the trees. Ellen stepped forward. We all saw him. The crowd turned. She spoke clearer. The man who left the quilt. We saw him pass near the barn yesterday. Ruth's throat tightened. You didn't say that before. I didn't think it mattered. The sheriff raised an eyebrow. Will he go inside? I didn't see. Then what are you saying? That he was near it. That's not a crime. But it's a pattern. Ruth snapped. You want to say it outright. Say it. Ellen's face was blank. You brought the storm with you. Ruth turned to the sheriff. You believe this? I believe people remember what they want. She stepped close. You want to shut me up? Go ahead. But that fire wasn't mine. He held her stare. If something else burns, I'll have no choice. You already decided. I don't want to. Then stop pretending. I'm trying to keep the town from turning. It already did. Silence stretched. Behind them, the barn hissed. Flames shrunk down into black beams. The sheriff walked toward it, stood close to the line where heat met frost. He watched without speaking. Ruth followed, slower. He asked, What did that quilt mean to you? She didn't answer. He looked over his shoulder. You brought it here. You let it be seen. I didn't ask anyone to see it. But you didn't hide it. She looked at the pile of smoldering ruin. I thought it might matter. To who? She blinked hard. To her. He didn't ask who she meant. They stood like that, silent, the heat licking their boots, the crowd behind them still watching like something holy had died. Finally, the sheriff said, It's not just wood you lost. She turned. I know. The smoke had thinned, but the heat still hovered. Ruth stood behind the sheriff as he pushed charred beams aside with the toe of his boot. What remained of the barn was a low skeleton of black ribs and cinders. The fire had done its job. All that had shaped before was now softened, curling into dust. "Watch your step," he said. "I'm not fragile." "Didn't say you were." She moved past him, stepped into the ash. The ground cracked beneath her boots. A few villagers lingered at the edge of the field, arms crossed, mouths tight, watching, still, waiting. She crouched near what had been the back corner of the barn. A piece of paper curled at the edges lay among the soot. She reached for it. The sheriff warned, "Might be hot." She touched it anyway. It didn't burn. It flaked. She lifted it gently. Most of it was gone. The bottom was scorched through, but the top half held words. Her name was written in a hand she hadn't seen on paper before. She whispered, "It's him." The sheriff stepped beside her. "What's it say?" She didn't answer. He leaned in. "Ruth, you gonna read it?" She stood, brushed ash off her palms. "Not to you." "What's in it?" She folded it carefully. "Enough." He watched her. That barn was full of secrets. She turned toward him. No, just one. He didn't stop her as she walked away. Inside the house, she placed the letter on the table, weighed it down with a tin cup. The stove had gone out. The air inside felt damp. Nothing had been warm since the fire. She stared at the letter. Then she read. "Ruth." Her voice was dry but steady. "I don't know how to say this without sounding like a thief." She paused. "I didn't come to take anything from you. I came to give something back. I came to return what Mary left behind." She swallowed. "I know you blame her. I know you think she ran. She didn't." Her hands trembled. She gripped the table edge. She stayed longer than she should have. She stayed for the child. The words broke off, burned through halfway down the page. Just blank ash after that. She sat in the chair and stared at the torn line. "I know you blame her." That stayed in her head. She remembered Mary's voice, sharp and fast when angry, soft and shaking when tired. She remembered the last day they spoke. The last letter Ruth never answered. The silence that followed. She whispered, "You don't get to say that." Then louder, "You didn't know her." A knock came at the window. She flinched. He was there again. The man. His coat is darker now, as if the smoke had stained it. His face was unreadable. She opened the door before he could knock again. "You're bold," she said. "I had to see if it burned." "It did. I left something inside." "I know." "You read it?" She didn't answer. He stepped inside without being asked. "You came back fast." "I never left far." "Are you watching me?" "Yes." She shut the door. "You keep showing up like this," she said. "You'll get shot." "I came to say what the letter didn't." "I don't want to hear it." "You need to." "You don't know what I need." "I know you didn't burn the barn." "That's supposed to mean something." "It means I trust you." She stared at him. "Then you're dumber than you look." He smiled faintly. "Mary said you were like that." She went cold. "She said you'd push everyone out before you let them see you scared." "I'm not scared." "You are." "You don't know me." "I've been living in the wake of you for months." "What does that mean?" "I've been carrying your name around in a baby blanket and listening to a dead woman say your voice at night." She stepped back. He kept his tone even. "She died calling for you." "No." "I thought you should know." "You shouldn't have come." She was holding the quilt. Ruth's breath caught. The old one. Frayed on the corner, stitching pulled. She burned it. She kept it. She let it rot. He shook his head. She wanted you to have it. Then why give it to the fire? I didn't put it there. She didn't want it either. You think she hated you? I know she did. She cried for you. She always cried. That didn't mean she forgave. He stepped closer. Did you? She didn't speak. He said, "You think you lost something. She lost more. You think that evens it out? No. Then what? I'm just trying to hand over what was never mine." She looked down. "That baby's not mine either." "No. But her name is." "She didn't ask for it." "I know." She walked to the table. Sat. He stayed standing. She picked up the letter. Hold it toward the light. "You wrote this before the barn burned?" "Yes." "What did the rest say?" He hesitated. "It said I didn't expect you to forgive me." She folded the paper. "Then you were right." He didn't move. She said, "You come here again. I'll treat you like any trespasser." "I believe you." She looked up. "That child, she's yours?" He nodded. Are you raising her? No. Then who is? A woman in the hills. Good hands. It's a quiet place. You leave her name behind and walk off like it's clean. I came to leave it with you. Then you don't get to stay. He opened the door. She said, "What was her full name?" He looked back. Ruth May. She got the last one? He shook his head. Didn't feel right. He stepped out, left the door open behind him. She shut it softly, stared at the letter one more time, folded it smaller, set it in the drawer, lit the stove, then sat in the quiet. The ground sloped gently but steady. Like the land didn't want her climbing it. She brought nothing but a coat and her name. The trees were bare now. The wind carried the smell of smoke, even here. The barn's ruins still clung to her hair. She didn't care. She stepped over roots she'd stepped over before, past the fence post her father fixed twice before it snapped clean in one storm. The graves waited, small markers, some tilted, others sank, some without names. Her family didn't believe in marble, just wood and soil. She stood before her mother's first. "Did you know she'd come back like this?" she asked. No answer. "I think you did." Wind stirred the edge of her coat. She knelt. "She left me with silence, and now he leaves me with her name on a child I'll never see." She looked at the dirt. "You always said Mary was soft." "You were wrong." Another voice rose behind her. "You talk to the dead often." She turned. A preacher stood by the fence, tall, thin. The coat is too clean, eyes too dark. "You don't belong here," she said. "No one really does. That's the point." She stood. "I didn't ask for company. I didn't ask to give it. You come to bury someone? No, just walk. Long walk for someone who doesn't believe in questions." He stepped closer. "You're Ruth," he said. "You know my name? Word carries. Then you know why I'm here. Grief? Anger? Same thing." She stepped back. "You always talk in riddles?" "Only when they're true." She folded her arms. "You come from town. I come from farther. You know the man who's been visiting me?" "No." "You sure?" "I know of him." She stiffened. "How?" "Mary told me." Her stomach dropped. "You knew her." "She asked me to stay quiet until now." "Until what?" "Until the name passed back to you." "Then you're part of this." "I'm just a mouth." "You're a liar." "I'm the last one she trusted." "She didn't trust me." "She wanted you free of it. She gave me her name. That's not freedom." The preacher looked at the graves. "Mary said you'd never forgive." She was right. She said you'd need to. "I don't." She said you'd try to bury more than her. "I already did." They stood in silence. He looked at one of the smaller stones. "You remember this one?" She nodded. "Brother. Fell in the well. You pulled him out. Too late. That's what guilt sounds like. Don't talk about things you didn't see. I see what it left." She clenched her fists. "What are you here to do?" "Remind you." "Of what?" "That a name is never just a name." She turned back to her mother's grave. "You think I asked for this? You think she did? She could have warned me." "She did. You didn't listen." "I burned the letter." "But you kept the ashes." She said nothing. The preacher stepped closer. "You think you're cursed?" "I think I'm tired." "You think your house is haunted?" "I think I am." "You want peace." "There's no peace in that child's name." He nodded once. "Then change it." She looked at him sharply. "What?" "Write her a new name." "She's not mine." "You've carried her longer than you know." "She doesn't belong to me." "She does now." "I didn't choose her. Neither did Mary." The wind picked up. Leaves scattered across the path. The preacher said, "Mary died in labor." "Holding your quilt." "She had no right." "She had every right." Ruth's voice cracked. "She left me. She asked me to give you her last word." "I don't want it." "You already got it." He handed her a slip of cloth. Frayed edge. Familiar corner. She took it. Didn't ask how he had it. He stepped back. "Graves don't speak, Ruth, but they press," he said. She watched him walk toward the trees. When he was gone, she looked down at the cloth. A single thread ran across the corner, unfinished. She folded it, placed it on her mother's grave, and said, "You could have told me sooner." The hill was quiet. She saw him from the window first, standing still. Middle of the yard. No sound. Same coat. Same boots. Same stillness, like he'd never left. She didn't move, didn't open the door, didn't reach for the drawer where the fire iron waited. She just stood there, watching him. Then, as if he felt her stare, he raised his hand once. Not a wave, just stillness returned. She opened the door. "You don't knock anymore?" she asked. "You don't lock it." "You check?" "I always check." She stepped outside, closed the door behind her. "You think this is your place now?" she said. "No. You keep showing up like it is." He nodded. "Because it will be." She crossed her arms. "You're not welcome." "I never was." "You brought fire with you." "I didn't light it." "Then who did?" "I could ask you the same." "Don't play games." "I'm not." She stepped forward. "You said you'd explain." "I did." "You said I'd understand." "You will." "When?" "Now." She stared at him. "Talk." "The quilt was Mary's." "You knew that." "She left it behind." "She meant it to return." "You don't get to decide that." "She asked me to." Ruth's voice tightened. "Why you?" "She trusted me." "Then she was foolish." He didn't answer. She said, "You think showing up again makes you right?" "No." "Then why come?" "Because the baby's not safe anymore." She froze. What happened? Word spreading. What word? That her name matters. To who? To the ones who don't forget. She stepped back. "You said she was hidden." "She was." "She still is?" He didn't answer. "Say it," she said. "She's moved." "By who?" "Not by me." "Where is she?" "Closer now." She shook her head. "You bring her here. I'll bury you myself." "You already buried what matters." "Don't talk like that." "I'm not threatening." "You're warning." He nodded. "Yes. I don't want her near this place." "She was always near it." "She's not mine." "She has your name." "That wasn't my choice." "It was Mary's." "Then Mary should have stayed." "She couldn't." "She should have tried." "She did." They stared. He said, "I didn't come to argue. You only ever come to twist things. I came to show you something." "What?" He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small cloth bundle. She didn't take it. He set it on the porch rail. She kept it with her, he said, even when she bled. Ruth stared at the bundle. "What is it?" "You'll know." "Tell me." "You'll know." "I want truth, not riddles." He looked tired now. "You already carry the truth." She didn't move. He stepped off the porch. I started walking. She didn't call him back. She waited. Then she reached for the bundle. Unwrap it slowly. Inside, a tiny shoe, hand-stitched, pale blue fabric worn at the toe, the stitching uneven, rough. She turned it over. Inside, a name. Ruth May. She shut her eyes, then opened them. I walked back inside, lit the stove again, waited for warmth. It didn't come fast. She heard the creak before she saw it, a low groan like wood shifting under old pressure. She stepped outside barefoot, morning still clinging to the fog. No wind, no birds, just that sound again. She followed it past the split fence and the empty chicken coop, past where the barn used to stand. Then she stopped. The well was uncovered, the wood slats that had sealed it for years, gone. The rope hung loose down the stone throat, damp and black, as if something had just been pulled or lowered. She didn't move closer. "You open that?" she said. He stepped out from the tree line. "No." "Then who did?" He shrugged. "Maybe it opened itself. Wells don't do that. This one might." She stared at him. "You think this is funny?" "No." "You told me she was moved." "She was." "She's down there now?" "No." "You sure?" "Yes." "You lie easy." "I've never lied to you." "You've only ever lied." He stepped closer. "It's not her in there." "Then what?" "What she left behind." "I don't want anything from her." "You already have it." "I didn't ask." "Doesn't matter." She moved toward the well. "You do this to scare me?" "No." "Then say what's down there." "I don't know." "Bull. I swear it." She looked into the dark. The rope hung steady. "You expect me to pull it?" "No." "Then why leave it open?" "So you'd see it." "Why?" "Because it's always been yours." She flinched. "No." "Yes." "I didn't dig it." "But it calls you." She turned to him. "That's some preacher's line." "No." "Then speak straight." He stepped to the edge of the well. Mary was here once. You knew that. She came through. Didn't stay. She wrote something. I burned it. She threw something down this well. What? She never said. You think it matters? She did. She stepped closer. And now? I think it still does. She's dead. Her name isn't. Her hands shook. You think it's still alive in there? I think something is. She looked down again. Rope's wet. It moved last night. You saw it. No. Then how? I felt it. She backed up. You're mad. Maybe. You want me to believe something's waiting in a hole. I think you already do. She turned fast. I walked back toward the house. He followed. Stay back, she said. You should see it through. See what? What she left behind. She left me behind. She thought you'd come anyway. She was wrong. He stopped. You're scared. Of what? What's down there? I'm not scared. You've been scared since the quilt showed up. She turned. You think this is courage, bringing that name into my yard? It's weight. It's an intrusion. She meant it as a memory. She had no right. She had more than you think. She had nothing. She had blood. She spent it. He didn't speak. She stared at the ground. You open this well again. I'll bury it myself. You buried it once. Didn't hold. I sealed it. Still breathing. She whispered. Then it wants something. It wants you. She stepped back. Say that again. It wants you. She went still. He said, You knew it the moment you saw it. I haven't touched that well in years. I still remember your name. You think memory matters to stones? I think stones remember better than people. They stood there in the gray light, the well between them. She asked, Why now? Because the child is close. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with it. She's just a name. So are you. She stared at him. You want me to pull the rope? I want you to listen to what's down there. I buried nothing. You sure? I was just a girl. So was Mary. She closed her eyes. What did she throw in? I think you know. I don't. You do. She turned. I'm done talking. I'm not. You've said enough. You haven't heard it yet. She stopped at the door. Don't follow me. I'll wait. For what? For you to open it. She slammed the door behind her. Inside, the house felt colder than it should have. She lit the stove again, let her hands hover above the flame. She stared out of the window. He was still there, standing by the well like a statue carved from the blame she never asked for. The rope didn't move, but it looked like it might. She woke to the sound just past midnight. Not wind, not foxes. It was thin, high. Humans. A baby's cry. She sat up fast, heart already pounding. The room was dark but warm, stove still alive in the corner. The cry came again, closer now. She pulled on her coat, stepped to the door. It opened slowly. The yard was empty. Moonlight stretched long shadows across the dirt. The well stood still. The rope didn't move, but the sound came again. From inside the house. She turned back, closed the door behind her. Who's in here? Silence. She lit the lamp. I walked through each room. The floorboards creaked. Nothing. No child. No man. Still, the cry returned. She followed it. It led her to the kitchen. The stove hissed. The old quilt lay folded on the table. She hadn't brought it in. She whispered, What do you want? The cry came again. Louder now, but not angry. Just constant. She reached for the door to the cellar. The handle was warm. She opened it. The sound dropped into her like a stone. She took the first step down. Ruth, a voice said behind her. She turned. He stood in the hallway, half in shadow. Are you hearing it now? He asked. What is it? You know. Tell me. You already heard her. There's no child here. There is. You said she wasn't near. She is now. Where? Everywhere you buried her. She was never mine. She is now. She gripped the wall. What did you do? I gave her back. You brought her into this house. She found her way in. Where is she? She's been here longer than you think. You need to go. Not yet. She stepped forward. You brought something cursed. I brought something lost. I don't want her. You never did. Don't twist this. I'm not. I'm just watching you realize it. She backed away. Get out. She's your echo now. I'll put her out myself. You can't. I will. He nodded. Then do it. She turned, stormed into the kitchen, lifted the quilt. Underneath it, the shoe. Still soft, still stitched. Still holding the name, Ruth May. She dropped it like it burned. The cry came again. Now, from behind her, she spun. Nothing. He stepped into the doorway. She only cries for you. Stop it. You hear her because she's yours. I won't claim her. She already carries your name. I'll take it back. You can't. She's not real. She is. She's not. Then why does she haunt you? The stove flickered. She turned. I walked to the door. Fling it open. Take her back. He didn't move. She's yours, she said. You made her. I gave her a name. With mine. She wouldn't stop crying. So you gave her to me. She quieted when I said it. That's not a reason. It's the only one I had, she whispered. You gave her a grave. I gave her an opening. She's not mine. She is now. The cry came again, this time right behind her ear. She stepped back, covered her mouth. He watched her. No triumph, no fear, only stillness. She said, Why won't she stop? Because she remembers. What? Everything you forgot. The cry stopped. Suddenly, sharp. Silence poured over them like oil. She looked up. He was gone. The quilt remained, the shoe, the name, and somewhere beneath the floor, nothing. But she knew better. The fire was out by morning. Not low, not flickering. Gone. Ruth touched the stove's side, cold as stone. She didn't light it again. Didn't open the door. Didn't sweep the ash. The quilt stayed folded on the chair. The shoe beside it. The name is still stitched. She sat at the table and watched nothing. Then he knocked. Once. Then silence. She didn't move. The second knock came softer. She stood. Opened the door. He stood with his hands in his coat. No bundle. No words. She stepped aside. Are you here to finish it? I came to say goodbye. You've said that before. This time's different. You keep coming back. This time I won't. She watched him. You swear it? I do. You brought something here that won't leave. I know. You brought her name. It belonged here. She was never mine. She is now. She's not real. He said nothing. She stepped closer. You still hear her? No. Why not? She stopped. For you. He nodded. Only cries for you now. She looked at the cold stove. I didn't ask for her. I know. She doesn't belong in this house. She's already in it. Then get her out. I can't. You won't. I can't. You said she'd be quiet if I carried the name. I was wrong. She took a breath. Where is she now? Farther than before. Alive? He nodded. Fed. Dressed. Sleeping, I think. She doesn't cry for them? No. Why not? Because they don't matter. Neither do I. He looked at her. You do. She stepped away. She should have given her a clean name. She didn't have one. She could have made one. She made you. I'm not hers. She wanted you to be. That's not the same. It's close. She walked to the table. Sat. He didn't follow. She looked at the chair. You burned the quilt once. I didn't. You let it burn. I watched it burn. Same thing. No. You let her memory rot in a barn. It needed to be let go. You failed her. I tried. Not hard enough. I brought her back. You dragged her through me. She wanted to be remembered. She wanted forgiveness. She didn't expect it. She should have. She never got it. She never asked right. Silence. He stepped to the stove. You lit this every day. Yes. Until now. It doesn't matter. It does. She's not in the heat. She's in the name. Ruth whispered. I hate that name now. I don't. You didn't carry it. I gave it to you. You had no right. You had no one else. She didn't belong to me. She still doesn't. But she cries for me. He nodded. She stared at the stove. What if I forget her? You won't. What if I try? You'll fail. She looked up. Is this what she wanted? I think it's what she left. That's not peace. No. She stood. Leave it all here. He nodded. The name. The cloth. The sound of her cry. I already did. Don't come back. I won't. You sure? I'm done. She opened the door. He stepped through it, paused. You were the only thing she never let go of, he said. She let go of everything else. Not you. Then she was foolish. He didn't answer. He walked off, coat dragging dust. She didn't watch long. Closed the door. Turned to the stove. Still cold. She opened the stove's mouth, empty. Reached for wood. Stopped. She whispered, She's not mine. The quilt waited in the chair, the shoe beside it. Thread pale. She lifted the shoe, hold it tight, then let it fall. It hit soft against the floorboards. She sat, hands still, eyes open, and the house went still with her.